Greetings. Bob Krasenkas here with Eli and my new cohort, Greg Troy from YeahWeDoThat.biz. And, Matt's again out of the loop, and we're not going to wait for him. We're going to forge forward with or without him. And if we need to throw him under the bus occasionally, so be it. Maybe we'll find some time to get in here and do some videos and, contribute a little bit to this little project of ours. This whole ELI Factor, which was, it was not my idea. This was his idea. But here we sit again. So how are you, Greg?
I'm doing well. How about yourself, Bob?
I'm doing good. There was a couple things we wanted to touch on real quick here, and you actually are the one that discovered this little nugget that we're going to share with the Eli audience, and it has to do with one of our latest trolls, Mike Meyer, who's with the Copyright Law Group, who had sent out a demand letter. And I've done my due diligence and did some digging, and turns out that Mike Meyer used to be on the other side of the fence, and he would defend people that got these extortion letters. He has since changed his ways, and now he likes to send out the letters. And I can only assume that is because of the dollars that come in. It must be much easier to make money on this, on that side than it is on the other side. But you, on the other hand, have gone out and found a little something else that we would like to share. You want to tell everybody what it is? I don't want to take the wind out of your sails.
Oh, no problem. And we are pretty sure it is the same Mike Meyer, but we found a case where I believe it was in 2005, he purchased a building to use as an office and hired Racky and Associates, which was a firm to remodel the building and bring it up to code and everything and make it ready to be an office. And he ended up suing her because that she did not produce the drawings after like 7 months, and no work had been done. But there were some issues with it, including that the building was on the historical register, so anytime that happens, you have to get approval for anything with the Historical Society. I mean, even down to paint colors. At least I'm not sure in Washington that's the way it is here in Cincinnati. I mean, they dictate the color that you can paint. It has to match their guidelines. But anyway, what ended up happening is he fired her and then hired somebody else, and what they ended up doing was she sued him for copyright infringement because he had taken her drawings and given them to the new person to use, and she had registered her drawings. And it was just very interesting that, he's dealing with the copyright stuff, and he's getting sued for copyright infringement for stealing her drawings and doing the building design on based on her drawings. And the new guy actually admitted it in another case that was going on at the same time where, yes, he was given the drawings and he just basically used these, and that's how he was able to get the permits so fast. And within a week of him being hired, he was able to get permits and start working and everything, but it was all based on her drawings.
So basically what we have here is a copyright troll that has been basically accused of copyright infringement himself. Yet he has, if indeed it is the same person, like you said, we're pretty sure it is. And so he's got the nerve to send out letters for supposed copyright infringement when he himself is an possible copyright infringer. I'm like beside myself. When you first told me about this, I nearly fell out of the chair. We've seen so many wacky things and so many weird scenarios that this just blows me away.
And I do want to state that we don't know how the case actually ended up because it ends with, it just says there was a settlement and the case is dismissed. So we don't know exactly what the settlement was, how much, who settled with who, but it was just a very interesting case. I like those where it becomes kind of hypocritical like that.
Yeah, just a little bit hypocritical, and yeah, it kind of sucks that it did end on that note, because it's one of those things that we're probably never going to know. I'm sure there's been confidentiality agreements signed by both parties, and and whatnot. So we'll never know the truth, but it's funny nonetheless. That he would actually. And being an IP attorney, you would think he would know better. He probably didn't figure that an architect would register their drawings. I did some quick research, after you blew me away with this little nugget. And if you do a Google search and search for architects and lawsuits, they register them all the time. And there's a lot of lawsuits in regards to copyright infringement where people use their plans, and don't pay them, or in this, like in this situation, they use them to draw the plans and they can them and get another firm in there and they've already got the drawings done. So basically, this Racky, it appears that this firm did all the heavy lifting, did all the grunt work, the back and forth, the changing of the drawings, constantly, and trying to get permits and everything, and got all that stuff done, only to be canned, replaced, and then the project proceeded. So it's pretty damn hypocritical.
And that was part of the reason that she had said in her side was to why that the drawings were never produced, was because, as she said, he was difficult to work with, were her words there. And, of course, anytime you make a change, you have to change the drawings, then you have to resubmit and get on the roster to be reviewed by the Historical Society, and all that takes time. So, and you can't submit the permits or submit for permits without detailed drawings of what you're doing.
Sure, right. And then you probably have to go through the Historical Society first to make sure they're okay with everything, then submit the plans to get the permits. I'm sure it's a long, drawn-out process, and all that. As you're in this business. That takes time, and time comes down to money. And every time she has to change those drawings, that's billable hours, just like anything else.
And that makes sense to me, though, that I had never thought about them copywriting their drawings, but with all that work that they do, and that's interesting that you did that Google search on that. With all that work they do, I can see why they would, because I can see somebody having them do all the grunt work, like you say, and get the drawings and get everything ready, and then say, well, no, don't want to do it. Take the drawings, and just like what happened here, have somebody else come in and do it, or just do the stuff themselves now that they have drawings and plans and everything.
Yeah, I saw one case, and I didn't read the whole. I didn't read the whole case. It was a pretty involved case, but it was for a condo development that apparently the firm had drawn up all the did all the plans, everything for these condominium units, and pretty much the same situation. They got taken out of the loop. Next thing you know, this company they're putting these buildings up. The buildings are already there. They're actually there. They're in Louisiana. You can see them from a highway. They said, if you want to see these, you just drive down this road and they're right there. So they've already built, they've already built the buildings and everything. And, this firm sued them for copyright infringement. And it's, they're going after, now naturally they're going after some really big bucks because the buildings are there. They're selling these condos. There's people living in them already. So, that just makes that, that claim that much more, because now, you sold X amount of units. They got to, some of that's got to come back to the plaintiff. So there was a lot. There was actually, I was really surprised when I saw the amount of, instances with architects, suing either builders or, property owners, condo developers, and whatnot. It's pretty crazy.
And part of what that can be, too, is that, if you want your stuff and want it done right, you go to a really good architect, and they're having them do all the grunt work, and whereas they can get a construction person that can do it, but might not be able to do the architectural part, but can follow the prints and the plans and do it a lot cheaper, and so they think they could just take those plans and do it that way. I don't know how it happened up there, but I do believe, from what I read, if I remember correctly, that she said that she happened to see the building and noticed that the work had been done or was underway, and it looked amazingly like her plans. And that's when she started looking into it and filed the lawsuit.
That was the tip off. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can also understand why they would do that. You know, if I was an architect and I had plans for this really, cool house that I wanted to build, I wouldn't want, my competitors to get a hold of that, or, another architectural firm, to grab my ideas. So yeah, it would definitely make sense. And the cost, to register it isn't that prohibitive, to register it. When you compare that to the money that they're making on drawing the plans. Because as you know, they're not cheap. When you get an architect involved, it gets expensive. So they can certainly afford that little extra bit of overhead, no doubt. So what we'll do is we're gonna make a post on this Mike Meyer thing, and you'll probably see the post before you see the video. But I'm surprised that thread didn't get more attention than what it did. I thought for sure, when I tied in the whole porn thing, with his partner's name, So Young, when I tied that in, I thought for sure that thread was going to get, some action. But maybe it's just not one of those things that's, interesting to people. But now maybe that we have this new copyright infringement angle, maybe this will push that thread along and we can get some more feedback on it. I know the guys over at DieTrollDie.com will definitely get a kick out of this when they catch wind of it. And I know they come on the forums every once in a while and look around and see what we're up to. They're like our partner in arms per se. They just go after a different animal than we do.
Yeah, I enjoy their site. I look at their site probably a couple times a week to see if there's anything new. And it could also, too, as far as not getting the response that you were thinking of, too, that it was just not in the Getty forum. And I'm sure that the majority of the people on ELI just look at the Getty forum and don't go over to the P2P or the legal controversies either.
Yes, I can tell you that for a fact, and I can tell you one person that's very guilty of that, and that's none other than our own Matthew Chan. Because he's kind of thrown him under the bus. He's confessed to me that, he generally, a lot of some of the other forums, he doesn't go in very often. Whereas, like, I know for a fact, me and you, we go in every single forum every single day and make sure that every single thread gets read.
Absolutely. Any message I read, I might not reply, especially if I don't have anything to contribute, but I do read every message and every thread, and just try to keep up on what's going on.
I'm glad I came on board with ELI when I did, because ELI was only a year old when I came on board, and I went through I caught up. I went through every single message there was when I joined ELI. And I would hate to have to do that now, 3 years later. It'd take you a year just to catch up. There's so much good stuff in there.
Not quite a year, but it takes a while. I can tell you that.
So you've done that.
But I have. I've gone back, and I would say I've read about 95% of everything that's in ELI. And if I have, a little free time, I'll go back and just try to finish up the other stuff. And like I've told you, and we've chuckled about it, I'm hooked on it, and I take my tablet to work, and, if I have during lunch, I try to catch up and see what's going on, so when I get home in the evenings to do my estimating and billing and all of that, I don't have so much to read, and I can get to bed at a somewhat decent hour.
Yeah, you got it bad. That's all I'm going to say. You got it. I think you got it worse than I do. But you're still on the beginning stages. So I can understand. I can understand where you're coming from. I still have it bad too, but not quite as bad as you. One of to touch on real quick, and I think we'll probably have to split this video and do two videos. Because there's at least one other item that we want to mention, possibly two. So why don't we leave the Meyer thing where it is? We'll see if we get any response from this new little nugget, and let's do a second video, and we'll talk about two other things that are in the news that I think are worth talking about. So
sounds great.
Okay, so we'll be right back with you in just a few minutes. We're going to take a quick break, just like the bands do, and we'll be right back with you.
All right, thanks, Bob.
All right.